Welcome to the Succeed Against the Odds podcast. My name is Francesca Anastasi, also known as Sabea. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I'm your host and mentor. And each week we bring you an inspiring person, an expert, or message, and some behind the scenes to help you ignite and unleash your potential. Thanks so much for listening. Welcome back to another episode of the Succeed Against the Odds show. And today, as my very, very special guest, I have here with me Tara Wiskow. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you so very much.
Tara, I am really curious to know more about you. You call yourself a speaker, motivational speaker. Can you share on what specific topic you motivate people in and what led you to become a motivational speaker?
Definitely. The topics that I speak on are personal leadership, self-empowerment, and individuality, more specifically, be uniquely you. And this came from my own story of finding myself and realizing that I possessed no leadership personally in my life, and I wasn't empowered and did not celebrate my uniqueness. I tried to blend in and not be seen, not be noticed. And through my life experiences and opportunities to grow led me to want to help others realize that within them is an amazing individual that's being held captive because they're not willing to let themselves out and let the world be blessed with who they are at their core. And that's what led me to speaking, to getting out on the stage and inspiring others to love themselves for them.
So I suspect there was a major story. There's a major story there on that transition for you. Are you willing to share it?
I am. It's one that I've gotten comfortable. I wasn't previously, but I've gotten comfortable sharing about my weight loss. I've lost 220 pounds organically on my own, and It was a very difficult time for me to lose that weight. Lots of ups and downs, roller coasters, and during that time, there were 4 suicidal attempts because of the battle of trying to find appreciation and love for myself and know that I could do this and I deserved to go through what I needed to go through and be the woman that I wanted to be. It was really just pulling back the layers of the onions and going through it and finding the beauty within me and knowing that I was worth the struggle of getting to who I am today.
So was the weight the reason for being suicidal at one point, or was it the other way around? You were suicidal and then you gained the weight?
It was the weight that contributed to it, that created those attempts.
Those are a lot of pounds to lose.
It was. And you know what's magnificent about it is that it wasn't just the fact that I was 338 pounds, but the weight of hatred for myself and what I'd done to myself, and also was afflicted upon my boys. I went through a divorce and became a single mom of 3 boys. And the weight that was even more than 338 pounds. And so to me, I lost more than just 220 pounds. I lost a significant amount of just regret and dread and hatred. And now I'm free in so many ways. And another reason why I'm out on that stage speaking, to inspire people to change their life and lose that weight of all of that regret and dread and any other emotions they may have.
Now, you said earlier that, the pain of not feeling unique and not being seen and not being noticed. And is that what you experienced while you were over 300 pounds?
I did. Growing up, I was a very quiet girl and I blended in. I was very insecure, and it started at the time I was 8 years old. I found out on Easter that my dad, who I thought was my dad, was not. It was a day that my world tipped upside down. And from that day forward, even at the age of 8, I didn't know who I was. And it's incredible. We don't realize how much children are affected at a very young age. And I started to lose my identity and who I was, because I'm brown hair, brown eyes, and my family's blue eyes and blonde hair. And I was always asked why I looked different and was I adopted, but I would always laugh about it. I didn't understand it. But that day, everything screeched to a halt and it all made sense. So I started to lose my identity, and it just progressed from there. I was diagnosed with cancer, thyroid cancer, which ironically is the cancer that my biological dad passed away from. And that's where the weight started. And it just escalated the depression and the anxiety and all of the other emotions that came with it.
So you beat the cancer.
I did.
That's amazing. How'd you do that? May I ask?
Absolutely. Doctors, obviously, going through that, a lot of positive belief. I met a gal who really frustrated me and annoyed me to no end at the hospital, but she became my saving grace, because she taught me in that moment that where your mind goes and what thoughts you allow in your head is going to determine the outcome. And she told me, no matter what therapy you have, no matter what your doctors do for you, if you continue to believe that you will not beat this and you will not survive, you will create your end result. So you need to decide, what is it going to be? That was a turning point for me. However, the suicidal attempts happened after that. And it was just an interesting time in my life. But that comes back to me time and time again, what Sydney told me, and I forever hold that dear, and I lost her to cancer. And so it's a very special memory of mine that I really hold close.
So what was the tipping point? What was the one thing, or was there just one specific thing that just made you go, okay, now I'm going to change how I'm going to think about this and how I'm going to approach how I go about my thoughts and how I'm going to go about every day?
There was many, but one specific that stopped my process of where I was going in life and turned my route around was my middle son, who was 5 years old, saved my life. And the look in his eyes and hearing him say, "Are you going to die, Mama?" was enough. I knew I'd done enough to myself. I knew I'd done enough to my boys. And I knew that if I had the power and the will to continue to try to take myself out of this world, I had the power and the will to keep myself here and change my life.
That's incredible. It's amazing how children can be the lifeline. That actually is very personal to me, or you just shared, because I went through the same thing. At one point I was suicidal, and it was my little girl at the time. She was little, and it was because of her that I'm still here. So I totally identify with what you went through in that sort of that area. Of course, it was not the exact same experience because you had different issues than mine, but that experience of having our own child be that lifeline is just, it gives me goosebumps every time I think of it. And to hear you share something so similar, it's like, wow, it brings it all back. It's amazing. Sometimes when we, this is for the sake of our listeners, if anybody's listening to this and is feeling, at a low point in life, the reality is that there's always something worth living for. And how powerful, even if you don't have a child, right, Tara? It's, we can impact so many people. We can impact so many people like you are doing right now.
I agree with you 100%. We tend to not realize that no matter who you are, where you are in your life, whether you're loving life or hating life or are in between, that there are people following you and admiring you. They're seeing things in you that are making a difference in their life, and you don't realize it. We don't look at ourselves and see ourselves as a powerful person that can change the world. So no matter what, no matter whether you have children or not, you can make and are making a difference in the world, and you are worth being on this earth because you have an incredible story. Everybody has a life full of incidences, and those are your stories and are opportunities for you to share with others to change their life.
And you mentioned earlier, everybody has their uniqueness. So to just go a little deeper on that, because I've known people personally, like I'm sure you have, and from our own personal experience, when someone feels like, I don't feel there's anything unique about me because I have a very boring life, I have nothing interesting, and nobody even notices me, like you said before. How do you inspire them? What do you say to them to make them see their uniqueness? What tip can you give our audience if they're feeling that way right now?
It's really asking themselves, what ways are they different? We oftentimes don't want to think about that. We don't want to look at our differences and even acknowledge them because we're embarrassed about them. We're taught and encouraged to be one with the world and be like the Joneses, as I always grew up, or why can't you be more like this person, or wouldn't it be nice if you could have a life like this person? We're always trying to blend in, and so we don't really look at our differences as an element of celebration. And so that's where I start is, how are you different? What sets you apart from other people? And every single time, there's a wall that starts to creep up, but I stop it and I say, understand that I'm asking you this question of your differences, because I'm intrigued to know how you're different, because that's an awesome, awesome thing. It's not a bad thing. I'm encouraging you to see you, because you can impact the world and lives in such an instrumental way when you know how you're different, because there lies your strengths. We want to always practice until you get perfect, right? We're always told that, as a teacher, I'm a teacher as well. I don't teach currently. However, I was always teaching children. You need to practice this, get better at this. You're not good at this. You need to keep on practicing until you're perfect. So we grow up practicing our weaknesses to better them, but it's our strengths that we need to be practicing in. And in your differences are your strengths. That's what sets you apart. So that's where I start with that. And then I really just bring it down, ask them on that difference, how have you made a difference? How have you helped someone in that moment? Or is there a time where someone will come to you and ask you for your help, your guidance, your insight, and they tell you that you shed light or you help them in a way nobody else can? That's a moment of celebration. That's your uniqueness, and that's a great thing. I did not celebrate my uniqueness. I've always told everybody or said, I'm quirky, I'm weird, I'm odd. And it starts from being 8 years old and not looking like my family. I was odd and weird because I stuck out in every family picture. Now, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I don't think that I'm the black sheep of the family. Not anymore. I think I am who I am. I was made to be me for my purposes, as a masterpiece in the making, and I'm still making that masterpiece and forming it every day.
Beautifully said. Everyone is unique and everybody stands out in their own way, even when we feel like it's not like that. And it's just a matter of accepting it. It's a matter of accepting it, just like you said, that before you didn't see it as a good thing that you were different, and now you say, well, yeah, I love it now. It makes you stand out.
Yes. And when you willingly stand out and accept your uniqueness, it's the most empowering experience. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about how empowering it is and living vicariously in the moment. Now, I've done it myself, but to see others and being in that moment vicariously as I watch them, all of a sudden realize that, wow, I love who I am, and they embrace that uniqueness and celebrate it. It's outstanding.
Beautiful. So now you also are a certified personal trainer, and you train men and women and high school athletes. So was that part of your journey on the weight loss? What was the transition to becoming a personal trainer?
Definitely. It was not in the journey of the weight loss. In fact, I'm also a diamond executive with a health and wellness company, Fit Team Global, and with that is we went to an event in Florida and we ran a 5K. Now, prior to running that 5K, I was a very negative individual about this because I was not a runner. I would always say, given where I live up in northern Minnesota, if I'm running, you probably should run faster because there's something big behind me, because I did not run ever. But being me, who I've become, I was not going to not run that 5K because my pride was in check. So I ran it. And I was the first one out of our group of individuals to cross the finish line. I was blown away at my natural running ability and how exhilarating it truly was. And so there started I intensified my working out and my exercises. I got more defined on what I was doing and hired a coach and learned that I truly loved it. And then people started asking me, what are you doing? How are you doing this? How'd you learn this? And I started to share my newfound knowledge, and it progressed from there. I decided to become a personal trainer and love it, absolutely love it. I have 5 children, and my 3 boys that are mine from a previous marriage are older than my younger 2. And so I really love they're football players and track runners, so helping them to progress in their skills and as well as their team athletes.
So you lost the weight before you started running?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Okay, and now I know our audience and even I am curious. So if you're willing to share, how you said you did this all naturally. Are you willing to share a little bit on what process you followed? What's the secret sauce there? Because there's so much advice out there. There's so many diets and there's this and there's that. And people are completely confused, or they go into these yo-yo diets. What did you do?
Absolutely. In the very beginning, I can tell you what I chose to do was not the right choice. I tried anything and everything, anorexic, bulimic, and any of you that are listening, please know that this is so not the right way to do it. And in fact, it was not a sustained weight loss. So I just want to put that out there because that is oftentimes what we try to do. We try to get the easy fix, but here's really the truth of it. That is the hardest thing that we can swallow ever is you put yourself in that predicament. You're the only one that can take yourself out of it. And I started to walk. I worked myself up to 10 miles a day. Now imagine at 338 pounds, walking a mile was treacherous. It was difficult. So it's really starting in small increments. You cannot eat the whole whale in one bite. And I know that sounds ironic that I would say that being at 338 pounds, but it's a truth. You got to take it at mini itty bitty bites. And that's what you have to do in your weight loss is start small and continue to progress. So I started exercising, and then I learned that exercise is 20% of your success and nutrition is 80% of your success. But that is the most difficult part of it is that nutrition, because there's so many factors that play into it. Our emotions, our thoughts, busy lifestyles, laziness, or loss of willpower, family members, unsupportive family members, just the ease of going through the drive-through. So I stopped going through the drive-through. I did not go to any restaurant. It was all home cooked. And I cut out all pasta. I cut out all bread because they're just higher in the carbohydrates, the starches. And so I incorporated lettuce and started eating salads and fruit and vegetables, which were not foods that ever entered into my mouth, ever, until I started that. And that's really where it started to progress, is eating healthy, and then I started to reduce those portion sizes. So as I'm hoping you're gathering is, like I said, it's not trying to eat the whole whale at one time. It's bite after bite. So I had to change. I started walking first, and then I started to take out foods, and then I incorporated new foods, and then I went to the portion sizes. I reduced those portions to be healthier. The one thing, we have so many supplements out there. I was blessed to find Fit Teen Fit. It's a USDA certified organic energy and weight loss beverage. Definitely transformed my life and helped me get on the right track. There's many, many supplements out there, but even with those, you have to be willing to be committed and change the way you think about yourself. It has to be a lifestyle change. And that truly is what made it happen, was that lifestyle change. And loving yourself. The hardest thing as a coach when I talk to men and women is, if you want to be successful, lose this weight, change your life, and never get it back, you need to love yourself and appreciate yourself. Because if you don't, you're not going to do this for you. You're going to do it for everybody else. And they don't matter right now. It's all about you.
Mm-hmm. You're worth the change.
Oh, amen.
And basically, you're just saying that as hard as it is, when you really look at it, it's really simple, small changes. So,
It
like you
is.
said, it's not
And
all in one
yeah,
shot. So it's it's very doable. It's not this big. 'Cause I think that's what it is. It's the overwhelming. Everybody wants that quick fix. It's like, oh, I want to lose whatever many pounds by next week. And
exactly.
yeah, and then like you said, there's that temptation when you're feeling down or you're in a hurry, you just grab that bag of chips or that candy bar, whatever it is, right? And so
Hmm.
easy to get trained. But if you make that little bit of a change and commit to small little changes, that's really where it's at. It makes it easier to be able to make the next change as you go along.
Absolutely. And you also have to factor in that there are going to be people that are not going to see what you're doing or why you're doing it. There are going to be those people that don't want you to lose that weight because they're not willing to put in the work. And so they always want you to stay their same size or their same lifestyle because then it gives them an excuse and the exception and blessing to remain where they're at in life. So they're going to try to drag you down. They always will. But you have to have those that empower you, those people that are where you want to get to. And you need to spend as much time with them physically through Messenger or watching their videos or whatever it may be that you can somehow interface with them to keep you driven, to keep on knowing, like you said, that you do matter and you're worth the change. And you have to cut out those excuses. It's nobody else's fault that you are in the predicament that you are. It's your own fault. And it's a hard truth to be able to accept. But once you accept it, then nobody can stop you from making the change that you want.
I'm so glad you addressed that. There will be people, and there are people that will try to discourage you from following your mission, your goal, whether it is weight loss or whatever it is, because of their comfort zone, their comfort level, or because they just don't know how to support you and they feel like, oh, but it's okay, just have this cookie just this one time, or oh, you don't need to lose weight, right? I mean, I've heard all of it. People say it to others. I've heard people say it to me. So it's, in the end, like you said, it really, we are accountable for our own actions, what we put in our mouths and what we do to our bodies. Really, that is what it boils down to. And so crucial what you said. Surround yourself with people that will help you in your journey. Like, even if it is just watching videos or listening to audios that, keep you motivated, and surround yourself with more people that can help you versus people that don't help you. Your circle of friends, right? Your support group, definitely important. That's why you need coaches and trainers like you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or this podcast in itself. I've watched or listened to episodes, and honestly, it's motivational. And I've become a very positive person with just that motivation within me and self-motivated. But still, I need people like you or others out there that have a story that can touch my heart on those days that are tough. Because no matter what, you're going to have tough days, but you have to have that perseverance to get through it.
And you speak, do you travel when you speak?
I do travel and get out there and speak wherever I am beckoned to come to and share my story or share my message is where I go. And I love it so much.
And you mentioned to me you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, you have a program, you have a course called Be Uniquely You.
I do, yes. It's called Be Uniquely You, and it's really about learning to celebrate your uniqueness and learning what it is. First of all, why? Why should we celebrate our uniqueness? And I never really thought about that until somebody asked me. In my mind, I'm like, well, why shouldn't you? But if I were really to look at myself, who I was prior to who I am today, I would have asked the same thing, like, why should I be celebrating my uniqueness? That sounds insane. That sounds wrong. But I bring people through understanding why it is that you should celebrate your uniqueness. And then it's the what about you. I help kind of like that onion I talked about earlier is peel that back and get them to understanding what it is about them that makes them unique. And it's really eye-opening and mind-blowing, the conversations I have with the participants in my program, that they're learning about themselves, elements that they thought they should hide away because they were weird or made them different, and that was not something to be proud of. They're now seeing it and thinking, wow, this is something I've always wanted to put out there in the world, but I was ashamed. And their lives have just transformed as they've started to allow themselves to love themselves fully and to begin traveling in their unlimited potential. It's just radical to experience that. And then it's the how. How do you do it? It's really, the why, the what, but then you need to know how. That's the biggest question. I always say that when you take a kid into the candy store, right, they want to know why they can't have that candy. And so they're going to throw a fit and they want to know why. And it's the parents being able to explain and know how to explain it to get out of that candy store without buying the entire store out. So it's learning how to celebrate that uniqueness and make it a sustained skill and trait that you have in your life.
Sounds life-changing for people that take the course. So important to know how to leverage our uniqueness. I recently interviewed someone else. She was ashamed of something she had done in the past, and she was hiding it for the longest time. And as you say, it turned out that was the thing that once she started talking about it, it changed everything for her. It made her career grow, and it's impacting so many people for the better just because she's sharing something that she used to be ashamed of. So yes, everything about us, each one of us, like you said, is unique, and we shouldn't be ashamed because it's what makes us us.
Absolutely.
Now, Tara, if people want to take your course, how do they get in touch with you to take the course?
They can go to Tara Wiskow's onlineacademy.com. So TaraWis as in Sam, KOWS as in Sam, and then onlineacademy.com. There, or definitely email me at tarawiskow@tarawiskow.org. I would love to be able to share information of how to get access to this online program. And I also have some complimentary programs too that I would be more than willing to direct them to on leadership and personal empowerment and so forth.
Excellent. Well, Tara, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show as my guest. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience?
I really just want to encourage everybody to dig deep within themselves and ask them, what they feel their purpose is. What is your purpose? And are you living your purpose? And if you're not, why aren't you? And if you don't know what your purpose is, then really just sit down and let your mind go and ask yourself, what is it? If you could have any kind of life, what would your life be? And let yourself dream and just write it. Don't feel foolish about it. Don't feel stupid. I don't like that word at all, but it's one necessary to be said right now. Don't feel stupid about what's coming to your mind. Just let the words flow. Let the thoughts flow. And from that, you'll start to learn what it is your purpose is, what your passion is. And there you'll begin to be able to travel in that journey of personal leadership, self-empowerment, and just individuality and being uniquely you. That's so, so important. And please, at any time, if anybody listening that would like some more motivation, information on my program, reach out. But other than that, thank you for this amazing opportunity.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. I am pleased that you are sharing your story and you're helping other people with your story. Beautiful. We need more people like you in this world, Tara, because we definitely need a lot more people like you. So thank you for doing what you do. You are a role model. You are a gem. And I thank you for being you, uniquely you. There you go.
Perfect.
Okay, well, I hope to get an opportunity to meet you in person one day and hopefully in the near future.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please pass it on, and it would mean so much to me if you would leave an honest review on iTunes. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, embrace your magnificence.